Hello friends, I'm going to be walking you through the use of Google Jamboard, which is an app that will help you make some more interactive lessons for your kids. So you're going to start by opening a Google Chrome window, which hopefully you have the Chrome logo on your dock here. So this bottom portion of your screen where you can see icons for a lot of your various applications is called the dock. So we have Google Chrome hopefully on our dock. We're going to open a window from there. We're going to look at the upper right-hand corner and make sure that the photo that's there, that's being displayed, corresponds to our Friends Academy Google account. Make sure we're not on a personal account because the apps will not correspond with the Friends Academy Google apps that we're looking to use. So if you were working on a personal account, your jams would go to your personal Gmail, would be associated with your personal Gmail. We want to make sure that everything's going to the right place. So you want to make sure that picture corresponds to your Friends Academy account. We're going to click on the Google waffle here, which is this 3x3 grid, which houses our Google apps. So once you've opened the Google waffle, you're going to scroll down until you see Jamboard, which is a yellow and orange icon here, Jamboard. So there is a way in which your screen might look different from mine. At this point, you might have just white space here because your library of jams is empty. If this is your first jam, that might be the case. So you'll notice I have 6 jams that are being displayed here on this first portion of my library. It will pull up the jams that you've worked on the most recently to the top of the screen. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the lower right-hand corner with this orange circle. We're going to start a new jam. So each of these files that we're working with are called jams. So we're opening a new one, and as Google opens a new jam for me, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rename this jam from Untitled Jam to Demo Jam 2. And you want to make sure that your jams are labeled with a name because if you don't label them, they will, as a default, be titled Untitled Jam. And as you start to accumulate more and more untitled jams, it's not a good organization system, so it's hard to find what you need. All right, so I'm going to show you a couple of functions here. So in the middle on the top of the page, you'll see expand frame bar. You're going to click on that. This is going to give you the ability to increase the slides in your jam. So we have slides 1, 2, and 3. You'll notice at the top right-hand corner, we have this 3-dot option here, which is a common Google icon that you're going to see, which generally means more options are available. So we're going to click this and we're going to see what other options we have. We can duplicate or delete the slide. So unfortunately, as we do have the option in Google Slides to just, Command C, Command V, copy, paste a slide to duplicate it, we don't have that option here. We can try Command C, Command V. For whatever reason, they haven't enabled that. So in order to duplicate a slide, we're going to press duplicate. If whatever I had written on slide 2 would have then duplicated to slide 3. All right, so I can create as many slides down this way as I want. Okay. A really useful feature of this portion of the screen is that when I have a class in here, it will tell me their little icons will be on the top of the slide that they're looking at. So if I'm with my class on slide 3 and I notice that Johnny and Susie are lingering on slide 2, I could say, you guys please join us on slide 3. I noticed that you're still on slide 2. What you'll find occasionally, which I've noticed, is sometimes you'll also have a student who's created a slide, far to the right, slide 7 perhaps, and they're drawing, a mountain and some flowers and a stream or whatever, and you might also say, please come back and join me on slide 3. That's not what we're doing right now. So this is going to be an important tool for you to keep track of where your class is and what they're looking at the moment. Ideally, they would all be, or, if you have groups, you can see that the groups are all working together. So group A, you could see that those people are here. Group B, you could see that they're here. So you can just tell what they're looking at, which is a really useful tool as a teacher. Okay, so then again, these 3 dots are going to give me more options. So I can rename from here. I can download my whole jam as a PDF when I'm finished. I can save the frame as an image. I can make a copy of my jam, which is really useful. So I can make a copy of this whole thing to allow someone else to edit it and make changes without losing my original version or copy. Okay, not going to do that right now. So then updates, feedback, we're probably not going to use those too often. Okay, so then here we have undo and redo. We have magnifying. I can change the background of my slide. I can clear the frame, which will not clear the background, but it will clear whatever I have written on the frame. So it'll clear everything but the background. If I want the background to go back to white, I have to manually change that to none or transparent background. Okay, I think that is pretty much it for this upper section. Open on a Jamboard. Again, if we had a Google Jamboard, which is that, Promethean board type competitor, we could open this, click this, it would open on a Jamboard. I don't think anyone here is operating with a Jamboard, so that's not really an option we're going to use. Okay, so we have the pen here. We have 6 different color choices. We have 4 different tools we can use. We have brush, highlighter, marker, and pen. They're varying thicknesses and various transparencies. Those are tools that will be useful for you in your class. The eraser, you can erase something that's written by anyone with the eraser. If you need to go back to your cursor, so say I was using the eraser, and then I needed to move an image, which you can't do with the eraser, you'd have to go back, click on this to get your cursor back, and then you could manipulate the images. All right, so stickies are going to function as our tool to make text boxes. Image, here we can insert images. And this last thing is a laser pointer, which if you're presenting to a class and you're all looking at Jamboard, if we were all looking at Jamboard, we wouldn't all see my cursor, right? But if I wanted to point you to a specific direction on the screen, I could say, over here, and I could underline it, and it will stay for a moment, and then it will disappear. So the idea is that you can use the laser pointer to draw people's attention to something, but not to, manipulate the document in a permanent way. Okay, so if we're looking at our tools, what we're going to be using the most, well, 2 things we'll be using the most. I would say our screen cropping tool or our screenshot tool, and then probably the text box tool or the sticky note tool. So what I will show you here is how to create a sticky note. So we'll start with hello. Oh, hello. And what you'll notice is when I save a sticky note, it creates a sticky note on the board, but this dialog box actually stays up. So you might expect it to go away, but it will stay up until you're done creating your sticky. So we'll say hello. Bonjour. Hola. Okay, and then if I want no background, I just want it to look like a transparent sticky, I will create a transparent sticky with no background. So I've just created 4 sticky notes. 4 sticky notes that will, they automatically kind of go in this formation on the top of the page, but I can move them, I can manipulate them, I can resize them, okay? But you'll notice the proportions of the sticky stay the same, so it looks, it looks pretty good. You can't really distort the text because the proportions do stay the same. There's also an option here. I can rotate my sticky so we can make this a proper smiley face, and again, 3 dots means I have more options. I can edit, duplicate, or delete. So edit will just bring me back to this dialog box where I can change the font, or not the font, excuse me, I can change the text. So one thing I do want to make a plug for here is the use of keyboard shortcuts. So if you're not in the habit of using keyboard shortcuts, they really economize your movement, the movement of your hands over the keyboard and make things much more efficient. So you'll notice if you go to the edit portion on the top of the page, that with all of these options on the right-hand side, you're going to have these keyboard shortcuts. So even if you're not accustomed to using these, I would encourage you to give them a try and become more comfortable with them, because in the long run, the more comfortable you are with using them and the more you use them, really the less work you're going to be doing. It's going to be a lot more efficient in terms of how you use your computer to complete things, to get tasks done. So this will be Command C is copy and Command V is paste, one which most of us are familiar with those. You may be less familiar. Undo and redo. So undo is Command Z, and then this upward arrow means shift. So shift, Command Z will do a redo. So if I do Command Z, that will undo that. Shift Command Z. Oh, Shift Command Z. Sorry, I was pressing R even though I was saying Z. And I'm not even sure what that command was. Oh, reload. It reloaded the page. So Shift Command Z. Now I reloaded the page so it doesn't remember what I did. Let me try again. So I'm going to go Command X. So I'm going to cut this. Command X, I'm going to cut that out. I'm going to paste it back in. Now I'm going to rotate it back up. Okay. I'm going to go Command Z. And then I'm going to go Command Shift Z. And I'll put it back up. There we go. So redo and undo. Whenever you see that upward facing arrow, it means hold down the Shift key. Okay, so there's obviously a lot to explore in terms of keyboard shortcuts, and the more often you use them and the more comfortable you are with them, I find it makes things a lot easier. And you learn new ones all the time. Like I just learned the reload shortcut by accident, which is kind of cool. All right, so the next thing that we're going to work on here is how we could add some kind of template here in order for our students to manipulate these items or to add these items in a way that's meaningful to our lesson. So something you're going to notice, and that might be frustrating if you're not aware of how this works first, is that if I just go here, you're like, oh, well, this is easy. I'm just going to Google image search Venn diagram, and I'm going to just add one into my jam, right? And this is going to be great. Venn diagram, I'm going to add sticky, so I'm going to make one side, text emoji is going to be on one side, and then greeting is going to be on the other side. So I'm going to have my greetings over here. I'm going to have text emojis over here. That's great. Okay, now I'm going to say text emoji. Oh no. Greeting over here. Oh no. Oh no. As soon as I click on my next thing, it all disappears, and all of my, intended items are under this image. And that's frustrating because now there's no way I can get them back except for to delete this whole image. Right? So that's really frustrating. The thing you need to do is you need to use whatever template you're using for the background. You actually need to put that in your jam first. So if we had plans to create a Venn diagram, the Venn diagram would need to be the first image that we add to this slide of the jam. Okay, so this needs to come first. So we're going to do that first. Now we're going to add, we're going to add hola, we're going to add our emoji, add those things, and then we're going to add a greeting, and we're going to add emoji. Okay, so now we're going to try this again. So we're going to try emojis over here, we're going to try greetings over here, and I'm really hoping that my greeting does not slip under the Venn diagram. Yay, now everything stays on top of the Venn diagram the way I intended. So by placing the Venn diagram as the first image on our jam, that makes it, if you can think of it as layers, so it makes it the first layer, okay, and now we're placing additional items on top of that layer. It is possible to bring that Venn diagram to the fore, to bring it on top of all the other images. So you could click on the Venn diagram itself to bring that to the top, okay? But because this was placed in the jam first, all I need to do to bring my other items back on top is to click the background and everything will come back. So I actually, one of the reasons I usually use a background is so that I can tell right where the image ends and where the background begins. So if I were to accidentally click on my Venn diagram and say, oh no, everything is gone, I could just click on the gray and everything I want will come back to the top of the surface. So right on that kind of second or third layer, you could think of it as. All right, so that is just something I wanted to make you aware of because it can be incredibly frustrating if you have everything all laid out perfectly, all your images, you pick out all your pictures of various species of birds or whatever, and then you make your Venn diagram and the images won't stay on top where they belong. That can be really frustrating. So just know whatever you want the background to be or the template to be that people are then going to put images on top of, you want that image in your jam first. Okay, so again, this can be using the Google search feature can be a really useful way to add background images, Venn diagrams. We could do a coordinate plane. I would say if there's anything that if there's any template you're looking to create, I would Google search it first because the odds are is that someone else has already done it and done it pretty well. And then you can save yourself a lot of times in terms of, making your own diagrams. Why is this taking so long? So if this were me, I'm quite impatient. So there's something going on with this image, so I'm going to search for a new one. All right, so if that was taking a long time, what else looks good to me here? That one looks good. Let's try that. There we go. So something was just going on with that other image. Now this is quite actually kind of hurting my eyes with all of the different grid stuff going on here. Is that any better? No, that's kind of awful too. So I'm going to make that blue. There we go. That's a little more easy to deal with. So what I could do is I could give, I could give my students or have them create their own data set during an activity. And then they could use this to create, roughly points on the graph. So they could say, oh, this is 2, 2, this is 1, 1. And they could use this to create their own graph and eventually, write an equation for this or whatever. But again, you want to make sure. So if I were to, let's say I wanted to label, my x-axis, I would want to make sure come on, Candace, hours, usual, it's unlikely that it would be hour. Okay, so hours. Okay, so let's say that was there. I want to make sure that my coordinate plane was down on the jam first, or else this hours would disappear behind the coordinate plane while my kids were trying to manipulate it. So again, I just want to make sure that this background image, or we're using kind of as an anchor, as a background image, is down first, and then we're placing items on top of that. Okay, so you might be thinking to yourself, well, that's great, and it's really neat that I can get images. I can use this ad from Google image search, but I'm really interested in clipping text or in clipping from a Google Drive file that I have. So I do want to show you how to do that too if you're interested. All right, so what I would do is I would go to your Finder. So in the lower left-hand corner, it's a face, and this has been on Macs for as long as I can remember. There's a face, and it has kind of 2 tones of blue, and you click it, it's your Finders. So here are my beautiful advisees in a scavenger hunt we did. So now I'm going to go on the left side of this. I'm going to click on Applications. I'm going to use the search feature. I'm going to go Screen. I'm going to type in Screen, and it's going to come up with Screenshot. So this app here is so incredibly useful for so many things. If you don't already have it on your dock, so this bottom portion here with all these icons is called your dock. If you don't already have this on your dock, I would add it now. So you can take it, you can drag it down to your dock, you can place it on the dock. You'll notice I already had it on the dock, so it just changed position. Okay, so if you have it on your dock, then you can just access it without clicking Finder. So now I can click on Screenshot. Okay, and what I want you to do is I want you to click on Options here. Okay, so if you click on Options, some of you might already have this set up a different way. You might have this defaulted to, say, desktop. So you have this, so when you take a screenshot, so if I want to take a screenshot of this section here, that's going to go right to my desktop. So there'll be an image file of this that'll be saved to my desktop. What I'm going to ask you to do is to change that setting. So you're going to open Screenshot, you're going to go to Option, and you're going to click on Clipboard. So now, instead of saving to your desktop or saving to your documents or whatever you have it set up as right now, it's going to just copy the screenshot to your clipboard, which will then allow you to paste it without any in-between, without uploading it into your Google Drive, without using the upload feature in the Jam. You're just going to be able to copy paste, okay? So now I have options. I'm set up for clipboard. I'm actually going to X out of this, okay? Now what I'm going to do is, instead of even having to open the app, I'm going to use keyboard shortcuts to take a screenshot and then paste in to my Jam. So let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to open a new tab, and I'm going to open up my drive. Okay. Okay, I'm going to open up my drive. And let's see, what do I want to do? I'm going to I'm trying to think what would be useful. Let's say I wanted to take a copy of what do I want to do? Here we go. I'm going to paste in some text from a warm-up problem. So I'm going to paste in text from a warm-up problem. So there's not a way that we have on Chrome to take a doc right into Jamboard. So I can't just, insert this document into Jamboard so my kids can use it. So I want to use it. I'm going to try and take a screenshot of what I want to use. So I'm actually going to, I might have to do this in 2 screenshots because I can't get everything I want into one, but that's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Command Shift 4. And you're going to notice that my cursor just turned into a little crosshairs, and it has various numbers which are giving me coordinates as to where I am on my screen, and I don't really need to pay attention to that. What I do need to pay attention to is, so I'm going to take a screenshot. Before I take a screenshot that I'm going to keep, I'm going to get my cursor out of the way. So I'm going to get my cursor, say, down there, because I don't want my cursor on my screenshot. So I'm going to go Command Shift 4. I'm going to notice that my cursor turned into this little crosshairs. I'm going to highlight what I want a screenshot of. So I'm going to let go of the cursor after I've highlighted. Okay, I'm going to go back to my jam. I'm going to go Command V. And that's going to cut exactly what I just screenshot into my jam. So I did want to get the bottom portion of this problem. I did want to get that, so I'm going to do it again. Command Shift 4. Notice my crosshairs there. And the other thing you'll notice, I'm not opening the screenshot app. I no longer have to open the screenshot app anymore. I'm doing this completely by keyboard commands and then using copy and paste in a keyboard command. So this is taking a screenshot without opening any app, okay, which is very, very convenient. I found this to be extremely useful. Okay, so now, this is kind of the tough part that you're going to find is it's almost like working in a Google slide. It's like, how are you going to format it in a way that's similar to what you would have in a document? And that can be difficult. You might just have to play around with that a little bit. What would I would probably, let's see. Yeah, I might actually make this a little bit smaller because that's something you can see either way. Okay, I might put it that way. I don't know, it's not beautiful. But anyways, that's how you can use, Command Shift 4, take screenshots or whatever, and then you can paste in what you took the screenshot of. And when you paste that in, it stays as the background. So now if I told my kids, I want you to, annotate this for every time you see a weight. So I want you to circle every time you see a weight in green. So then my students might go, okay, I see one there. I see one there. I see one there. Okay, and now I want you to attempt, this problem up here. I want you to attempt this up here, divided by whatever. And then you have all their work on the same page, which you've clipped. This used to be a Google document, but now what I've done is I've produced 2 images. So where it used to be in the format of a doc, now they're in 2 image files, which I can write on, I can drag things on top of. I could, again, if I wanted to create an image now, I can drag this on top of the file. Okay, so I can use that to manipulate things. You can do that same thing for articles that you find on the internet. So if I were to go, oh boy, I'm kind of scared. But say I were to, open CNN. If it would open, maybe I should have chose Time for Kids. So let's say I even wanted to just grab, okay, let's say I just want to grab this photo of the markets. Okay, so I'm going to close that out. I could go right back over here, paste that in. Okay, and that would show up. That would show up on my jam. And then my kids could write over that. You know, they could mark it up. They could drag things, stickies on top of it. They can do whatever, really. All right, so that's really all the basic functions you're going to be using. I guess the last thing that I'll show you, and I know this is getting long, I apologize, is if you are interested in making your own template. So say that, you know, you want to do a categorization activity and you can't find a template that suits your needs, that suits what you want. What you can do is you can use an app, a Google extension, actually a Chrome extension called WebPaint. So you're going to Google WebPaint. And some of you have heard me talk about WebPaint before because it's very simple, but it's very useful. So you're going to click Add to Chrome. It's going to go right up here as a Chrome extension. It looks like a little palette full of paint. And what you can do is you can go in a blank slide. You can open your palette. Okay, and let's say I want to make different boxes in which I will have students categorize various numbers based on their factors. Okay, so that's what I want. Now, when I use WebPaint, this is not going to stick on this screen. So when I minimize or maximize this, what you'll see is it goes on and off this document. If I were to go to my previous slide, you'll see the boxes are still there because they're not stuck to that slide. They're stuck to the screen. So you can imagine when you use WebPaint, it's almost like painting directly on the screen, and what's underneath is going to move within the app independently of that. So if I deleted or if I logged out of Jamboard right now, these 3 boxes would not be saved. So in order for me to save them, what I need to do is take a screenshot. So again, Command-Shift-4. I'm going to take a screenshot of these boxes. Now to exit WebPaint, I can either, click on this small icon here that says Quit. It's actually the most efficient way to do it. Okay, so you're going to click on Quit. Oh no, my boxes disappeared. But remember, you copied them to your clipboard. So now you're going to press Command-V. Now you're going to press Command-V, and those boxes are going to show up. Now it's a template that you can use. You've created an image file that is now permanent on the jam. And so what you can do, and this is what I did in our categorization activity, is I did emoji copy paste. I just Googled that. I went to getomoji.com, which has just a long list of all the emojis that you'll find, in Apple products that have emojis. So let's say I wanted to categorize things that are green. Okay, so I could make a sticky. I don't want any background. I'm gonna categorize. I'm gonna save it's Christmas tree. So I'm just cutting the items that I'm not using and saving the sticky, and then I'm pasting back in. So it's just slightly more efficient way to move through a list more quickly. So let's say I even want to categorize these things. So holiday trees versus, non-holiday trees versus tropical trees. I don't know. I'm not a tree expert. But now what you've done is you've used WebPaint to create a template on which you can now work with other images. Okay. So as a recap, some things that we've gone over. We went over how to, we did not start on the first slide, which was not terribly efficient. We went over how to make sure that you're using the image you want as the background first, so that you're either pasting in using screenshot or you're adding an image through Google Web Search. Whatever you want your background to be, that needs to go into the jam first. So whatever is going to be the first layer on your page that other things are going to go on top of, you want that first. All right, and then the next thing we talked about is using the screenshot Clipboard tool, so clipping or taking a screenshot to Clipboard, using that to copy paste text out of PDFs. So you can use that to retrieve text from your G drive that's saved in a PDF, or you can use that to clip things off the internet. So we clipped, this what's my weight function. We clipped these two images from a document that was in my G drive, and we clipped this photo of the markets. We clipped that off the CNN website. So you can clip from anywhere and then paste onto the jam as something to use for your background. Okay, so I hope that this was helpful. I hope that, learning how to use emojis as stickies was helpful, because I think that's probably the most fun part. One more side note about emojis. If someone is using a Windows computer, if someone's using a Windows operating system, this might look a little bit different. So actually, if we, let's see, I think it's down at the bottom here. Okay. Yeah, so what you might, if someone's using an operating system that's not compatible with emojis, they might not see them. They might see something like these boxes. Okay, so you do want to be careful if you're working with a group where not everyone's using a Mac computer. You might want to, you could do exactly the same thing. Let's say we wanted to use, a raccoon emoji, but we weren't sure everyone was going to be on a Mac. We could take a screenshot of the raccoon, we could paste the raccoon, and then we could use, the raccoon this way. So there's always a workaround. Oh no, right? If this happens, you just click on the background. Everything's back. Okay, so we could place our raccoon. He's maybe he's climbing the tree. He's a tropical raccoon. Oh, he's not transparent at the bottom. We could have made our clip a little tighter in so he would have been more realistic climbing the palm tree. But anyhow, so if you have any questions about using Jamboard, please feel free to email me. As we discussed in the meeting, the way we're using the Jamboard app is not necessarily the way it was intended to be used. So a lot of the things that I'm finding that work the best are kind of not integrated into the app, but they're more kind of workaround type items. I would get as comfortable as you can with taking screenshots, saving them to your clipboard and pasting them. That's really the fastest way to get things from your G drive or the internet right onto the jam. And I think the most useful, considering that most of us do not have all of our texts in our G drives saved as image files. All right, so I hope this was helpful, and I will talk to you soon.